Yeah.
Yeah. That Mac Miller vibe. Let's go. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch, and I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. Yeah, I hear the haters talking, but I don't ever listen. Keep 100 yards on distance. If you always steady bitching, don't need negativity around me. I've already risen past the bullshit animosity, and now I'm thinking different. Look, I don't know why you've been thinking broke, cause when you limit yourself, then you never know what your potential is or your room for growth. Use your brain, stop being a hoe. Sick of people acting so basic. Sick of brainless racist faces, always with the hatred. Guess it's never changing. What is this, the Matrix? This is why I'm blazing. This is how I face it, bitch. Wait, what am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing, but I wake up every morning never yawning, cause I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch, and I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch, and I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. This shit is crazy, right? Everybody hating on my life.
This shit is crazy, right? Welcome to another episode of What Did Adam Say? Episode 40. That's crazy. The quarantine added a ridiculous amount of episodes to this podcast. Today, I am here with very special guest, Eric Robichaud, who is the CEO of Green Goddess Supply and also runs an amazing and very unique networking company that we'll also get into a little bit. But how are you this fine evening, sir?
I'm doing awesome. Living the dream, man. Living the dream. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was just saying, I in pre-production, I think this is actually like the first face-to-face conversation we really had, because I was looking through our messages before the show, and we started a conversation by you messaging me asking if I know ASL, American Sign Language.
Right.
And I was like, no, man, I wish. Like, that would be so cool. Like, I really want to know sign language, because why the hell not? Like, I've had deaf people come to my stands, and my answer is usually, type it, pass it to them.
Sure.
They type it to me. At least we're able to talk to each other. That's the important part. But if I could speak in their language, oh man, that's so valuable and so much more personal than just a text. Because I can't, even if I tried. Sign language has a lot of emotion and conveying. Like, it's a lot of what you like do. It's crazy. And then from there, you invited me to your networking meetings, and I've been literally foot on the gas pedal since probably a few months before then, and since then. And it was finally it was nice to kind of slow down a little bit and be like, ooh, let's see what they're doing now that everybody's doing virtual stuff. And you had Zoom meetings going, and I finally got to go to one, which was a cool experience as well.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Yeah, we can chat a little bit about that. And I was glad to see you in this week.
It was nice to see a couple familiar faces too. Mike Cerrone, I know him. Ashley Boucher, she's amazing. I'm trying to think. I think there was one more person that was in there that I knew. I just saw a stink bug on the outside of the screen, and I was like, oh man, my fiance is gonna be pissed. She hates bugs. I don't care about him.
Yeah, I don't know if Kyle Hamilton, he's usually I'm sure you know Kyle. He makes the rounds at all the shows and the Harvest Cup and Neek In and all that. And
he looked familiar, very familiar.
In the group as well. Does a lot of consulting, product consulting in the cannabis industry as well. So, yeah, we've been running the group now. If you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
Group now, it started, I want to say, around January, February of last year. So it's been about a year and a half now we've been doing it. It was based on, for anyone who's familiar with like the BNIs, it's based on loosely on that kind of a concept. It's a business, referral group. We meet every week on Tuesdays for lunch, normally up here in Mendon, right at the kind of right off 495, where Mendon, Milford, and Hopedale all sort of converge and meet right on the border there on 140 at the Greenhouse Pub. We meet
Great location, by the way. That's prime.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It's easy. It's right off the highway. So we call it the Metro West Canada Networking, and we have groups to help support it on Facebook and LinkedIn. And it's focused for the cannabis industry. So what we saw is these networking groups, these business referral groups for either owners or the salespeople in a company to build your sales referral network.
Right.
And I've always enjoyed those groups like BNIs and things like that. But this is focused on the cannabis. Everybody has some kind of nexus of the cannabis industry, either directly in it, or it might be like an accountant or something, but someone who has services and works with the cannabis industry and understands it. So it's a pretty powerful group, and just referrals flying all over the place. It's a great way to help build your business.
Yeah, I got like 5 different referrals just from that. People messaging me on the Zoom call, just, hey, reach out to me, man. I could help you with this. Reach out to me. I could help you with this. I'm like, yeah. And it's funny because since that meeting, I haven't reached out to any of them. That's how busy I've been.
Yeah, well, that's typical. That's why it's once a week. You give you all week and into up till next Tuesday to follow up and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But it's great. We have great resources within the group. We have about a pool of about 45 people that are members of the group. And on any given day, like this guy can't make it, but that one does, and so forth and so on. And so on any given day, we usually, when we're meeting in person, it's usually around 25 to 30 people, like 25, 28 people, that sort of thing, any given week. Zoom this whole COVID thing's been interesting since the restaurants closed. You can't have over 25 people meeting, or I think it's over 15 even now, whatever. But the restaurant's been closed, and so we've been doing it on Zoom, and just to kind of keep the momentum going. So we've been getting more like maybe about 15 or so in the Zoom meeting.
Looks like we lost you there. Let me try to remove him from it. Pop him back in. See if that works. And ruh-roh, Raggy. We have technical issues. Man. Gotta love technology, right? I'm sure something died or a phone call came in or something. That's usually how entrepreneur life is. You just gotta firefight and roll with the punches, because what else can you do, really? You can't like shut everything down. Am I right? It's pretty cool. So this weekend, I'm doing something. Oh, is he back? Nope. I'm doing something that I don't typically do. Something for myself. Can you believe it? I never really do. I'm usually either working on the business or being a dad. I don't really get to do much for myself. My wife's gonna kill me for saying that, because she doesn't either. And I'm trying to get her to take a day for herself. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, relax and figure out what you want to do. I know what I want to do. I'm going to go make some music with my boys. So this Saturday, I've been, maybe sneakily writing some music with this fool, King Casher. Go follow him on Twitch. He's always on there. And he's got a great live feed. So follow him. He's pretty entertaining. Maybe we should live stream part of our recording session. Would that be a cool idea? I don't know. People comment in there. Let me know if that's a good idea. Yeah. So we're gonna make some music. I've already written I've written I have like 5 full songs to do, and then I have 3 verses to collabs that we're doing together, and then all that. Aha, Eric is back. Hello, sir.
I have no idea what happened. My internet didn't go out, but I don't know, something with the streaming software. Everything, I got little spinny wheels and everything just kind of disappeared. But I was browsing other things. I could hit Google. I could hit other things. I don't know. It's bizarre. But anyway, we're back.
Carry on. It's okay. I got a shameless plug to talk about the fact that I'm making music this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Not even a shameless plug. I was just talking about how, and I'm sure you could probably relate to this too. You're an entrepreneur, and a very serious entrepreneur. You never really make time for what you want to do and things for yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Are you married in a relationship?
Yes, I have a fiance. I was married before. I have two children who are now adults. They're 21. They're twins, boy girl twins. They're 21, and so now they're off and they're working and doing their thing. And I have been with Jennifer now for 10 years, or just coming up on 10 years. I think like next month-ish it'll be 10 years. And she's deaf.
Congrats.
That's where the whole ASL thing came up. So we do sign language.
Oh, so you know sign language?
Yes, and that's why there was something you had done before, and sometimes people just you just there's certain things you do or you say, or like I said, if I said like, all right, sounds good, Kimosabi, doesn't mean I know Native Indian, I don't know, or whatever, Apache, or whatever. So I didn't know. That's why I asked you, like, oh, do you know ASL? I didn't know you did something, whatever, and I didn't know if you knew sign language or just the one.
That's about all the sign language I know. I know like the typical sign language that you would know. I love you and F you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I think I know. Is this you're welcome?
That's thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So that's actually how it came up. So yes, Jennifer, my fiance is deaf, and she actually runs the learning center for the deaf up in Framingham.
Hey Jeff.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
How many students does she like typically teach in a class there? Like.
The class sizes vary, but they're generally smaller. I mean, it is a deaf school, so they go K through 12, and they'll vary, but there'll be some of them. There's like 3 or 4 students in a classroom, and then others have quite a bit more. So it kind of just depends on, from year to year and class to class. It varies.
That's amazing.
But they put together a pretty amazing program up there. And now with all the COVID stuff, it's really tough. She's been. I know I've been watching. She's been squeezed because you're being mandated by the state what to do. So you have, no matter what you do, there's somebody complaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's some people don't want to go back to school. Other people do want to go back to school. Some people everyone's got an opinion, and nobody's going to be happy. Not everyone's going to be happy. So
no.
It's a tough situation, tough spot to be in. But they're doing the best they can with what they got, and
you gotta adjust to the times.
Yeah, it is what it is. So,
I'm getting a weird echo
from your end or from my end.
I think it's your end. Oh, it went away now. That was weird. Technical difficulties. Are they listening? It's the government. Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I was saying I never get to do anything for myself, and I also said my fiance is gonna kill me because she never gets to do anything for herself since she had a baby 19, almost 20 months ago. So, but I was like, I asked her what she wants to do, and she's like, oh, I don't even know. I was like, go do something for yourself. Like I'll watch baby all day. I don't care. Go do something. She's like, I don't know what I would do. But I was like, I'm going to go make music, like I know exactly what I want to do. Like, so sorry, figure it out. Let me know when you want to get your day in.
So when you say make music, what does that mean?
Since I was 13, I've been making hip hop music, and I kind of stopped for a few years. Like I write very seldomly over the past like 4 years. I've probably made 6 songs or something like that, which is very unlike me. I just kind of gave up on it. I was like, okay, I'm going into entrepreneurship. I'm going to take everything that music taught me, like performance and audio editing, video. It is marketing. You have to get your name out there through Facebook and different social media platforms, and by performing and selling tickets to people, and you never make money, and you just get screwed over by everybody. I was saying the other day on a status that I never made money from music. That I probably lost hundreds of thousands of dollars on music, but definitely taught me a lot. It's like my college debt, That's what I consider it. So my friends got together recently, and they all got to record. My friend flew in from wherever the hell he's living these days, probably Arizona, I think. and I didn't get to join them because I had car problems. I ended up getting like it was like a drill bit. It got stuck in my tire, and I just didn't have the time to fix it that day because I was doing a tour of a facility, and I didn't get to go. So this time they were like, "Hey, we have the weekend off. You should come. You don't have your son this weekend. Like, let's do this." I'm like, all right, fine. And they just been sending me beats back and forth, and we have like a messaging group together right now. It's cool. Like we haven't really been in contact a lot because I'm just so freaking busy. Like so like it's like that's like the theme of my life. So fucking busy, you know. Like
Oh yeah, it happens absolutely. I don't know if you remember, you got to meet Vincent in the networking group this week.
Yep.
So Vincent's the real musician, hardcore. We talk about, all the time about, being on the edge of greatness. I mean, he had a band back in the '70s, hard rock, one of the hair bands, metal bands, kind of thing back in
That's
the
awesome.
'70s and '80s. And there were times, like he's got stories about how, like, the time Van Halen opened for them, kind of thing. And they were a big deal in LA. They would fill the biggest theaters, in LA. And they got signed. The short version, they did get signed to a record contract by a big label. I forget which one, if it was like Capitol Records or who, but one of the big labels. They got signed, and then them, and they said pretty much Van Halen was like around one of the last ones to get signed, and they got signed, and then their A&R guy that signed them within a couple weeks was killed in a car crash, and everything kind of went sideways, and they were in limbo for a while, and then the next thing you know, they they replaced their A&R guy, new people came in, and then they decided that, what, we're not going to do this. We're going in a totally different direction with this. And that was the beginning of the transition out of, the hair bands and, Poison and all that stuff, and Twisted Sister and
Love it.
all those hair, White Snake, all that stuff kind of came to an end. And it was, and in the early '80s, it was all the new wave and the, coming out of like England and stuff, and the synthesizers, and then it was your Duran Duran and Soft Cell and all that kind of stuff coming out. The Eurythmics and stuff like that, So they were like, they got signed. They were one of the last ones to slide under radar. They got, or under the wire, not under radar, but under the wire, just get in right at the end. And then the guy died, and they lost all momentum, and and all of it takes, you hear about in the music industry all the time, like the Clive Davis types who, like, discovers Whitney Houston, or they discover some singer in a karaoke bar somewhere or something, and like they have a vision and they turn him into something huge, right?
Yep.
And it was like that, the guy with the vision, and then he died, and then new people go, nah, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction, and that was the end of it. So he went into, finally realized he wasn't going to be a rock star, and then went into corporate, went back into corporate America, and here we are today, working together.
It's funny for me, like my favorite artist growing up was Eminem. And do you know who D12 is?
I do, but I'm not super familiar. Like,
so D12 was his group that Eminem came up with.
Yeah.
And there was a guy named Proof in his group that was like his best friend, like growing up. They came up together. I have a theory that Proof was a lot of Eminem's songwriting ability. Proof died, unfortunately, in 2006. He got shot. And after that, Eminem's music was never the same. Never the same. It's still great. He's a great lyricist, but his like song structures and the greatness of his whole songs, not just the greatness of his lyricism within verses, completely changed. And I feel like people don't talk about that at all with Eminem.
Yeah. And it's really funny is my son is 21 now, and he loves everything, but he loves rap and hip hop and all that stuff, and he loves Eminem, and I kind of chuckle because it's generational. I'm like, he's listening to Eminem, and I just think it's funny but kind of cool, and I'm like, all right, well, okay, whole nother generation, and Eminem's still relevant. I mean, he's been going a couple decades now, right?
A lot of people, your son's age, actually really dislike Eminem. They think that he's just like old and bitter because that is one of my like beefs with Eminem is like he is a great lyricist, but he just is so mad for no reason. Like you're so successful. Yeah, some people talk shit, but who cares? Like, how do you even let it bother you after doing it for 30 years? You know, like
Right.
it's like entrepreneurship. If I was worried about what everybody was saying, I would be miserable. You know, like I'm sure people say bad stuff, you know, like they don't get it. Oh my God, I can't believe he works so much it doesn't make money, you know, like, like you
Yeah,
go
well, as an entrepreneur though, it's like you got to pay your dues. You know, it really it takes a lot for startup, and you know
especially a cannabis startup.
it. Yes, and actually in this industry in cannabis, the first thing people see is they just see the money from dispensaries and they just assume, oh my God, there's so much money in this. But the reality is, like any business, it's difficult. But cannabis, it just takes it to a whole nother level. Some of it sometimes it's even hard to explain, like to really explain to people. But I said it's hard to start a business, right? Starting a small business, it just in and of itself is difficult, right? Because
Hmm.
especially if you're a small solo entrepreneur, you're trying to get going. Then you have all the regulations, you have the taxes, you have, and state to state things can vary. But like in Massachusetts, like you have to, you create your corporate structure. But then like if you want a DBA, it's with the town, and you have all these different filings. And well, you have the annual filings, and you have the tax report, your annual reports and filings, and all these, and then all the different regulations. And then you get the local town, guys and the tax collectors and the assessor's office. And just get all these things and rules and regulations. And
It just makes your brain want to explode.
yeah, and there's just so much to deal with as a small business, okay? But that is kind of just like ante to play when you're in the cannabis space. That's like, okay, that just gets you to here. Now layer on top of that all the additional rules and regulations, and they're just constantly busting your chops. And like
And
as
constantly
difficult as it
changing
is,
too.
yeah, as difficult as it is to run a small business, at least if you're running a popsicle stand, you're not worried about coming in one day and finding out that like your credit card merchant account was shut down.
Or that you got raided.
Well, there's there's that too. But I'm saying, but even then, like with us, with Green Goddess Supply, we're an ancillary business. I don't touch plant. I'm not selling cannabis, we just sell accessories like grinders and stuff. This is like one of the first things we started with was our grinders, stuff like that. Grinders, pipes, rolling trays, and all kinds of smoke shop accessories and so forth. So we're an ancillary business. Is everything we do is perfectly legal. It's all just hardware, aluminum or wood or whatever, glass, whatever, right? But still, it's like we'll have stuff, and sometimes it's not even anything that we do. Like that happened to us. Credit card merchant accounts. It was EVO Payments wanted to sell, like the corporate owners, they wanted to sell, do mergers and acquisitions. And so they wanted to clean up their books, and they went and they took all of their high risk category, which is all the smoke shop stuff, and they just terminated like 3,000 accounts one day because they want to go sell. They wanted to clean up their books and have a nice clean because they didn't know who was going to buy them, and some people, they didn't want to be a turnoff, whatever. And then as it turned out, so then we're all scrambling, thousands of accounts, we're all scrambling trying to get credit card processing. You make other arrangements, you get up and running. And then 3 months later, I get a call from them. Hi, I'm so-and-so with EVO Payments. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, well, so I was originally with, I forget the name, but whatever other company. We acquired EVO Payments, and we saw that, they terminated a bunch of account stuff. We want you back. I'm like, yeah, great. Well, that would have been nicer 3 months ago if you didn't just shut us off in the first place. But it's too late now. We're somewhere else. I mean, but just stuff like that, like just because they wanted to sell in corporate, they didn't know, blah, blah, blah. And so and it's like they terminate 3,000 people just because of the industry that you're tangentially related to. You're in the smoke shop industry, so.
It's ridiculous, honestly. Like I tried, that was one of the first businesses I tried to do, is like a drop shipping business. And I had, it wasn't customized and everything like you. I was literally just looking up stuff that I thought was cool grinders, cool t-shirts, cool hats,
Yep.
things like that. And it was, I set up a whole website, exclusivestoner.com. And the first thing they did is say, nope, your name is not acceptable. And I was like, you could have told me that before I bought the domain, but all right, cool. And then I changed it to the urban community, THC, and then they flagged that. Still, they flagged all my payment processing. Nobody would work with me, and I had to just like shut it down. I had like 1 month of decent ordering.
Yep.
And they just shut it down as soon as people started ordering. Because I found a little loophole, and then they're like, "Wait a second," and they found me, and then just like all of this was like 3-4 years ago, so payment processing was a little bit.
Yeah, you can get payment processing now, but if you just pop up any old like Shopify or that kind of thing with the store and use the basic payment, they'll shut you down. They process your first order, and then they're like, "No, wait a minute, we don't do this. We don't do stuff." There's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal, but it's just, nope, we don't do it. You can't advertise on Google. You can't advertise on Facebook. You want to set up. Facebook is constantly like busting our chops, busting our chops. Just like they shut down weed pages on Instagram and all that. Well, same thing on Facebook. Shutting down pages, won't let you advertise, won't let you promote. It's insane. So it's take everything that's difficult about starting a small business now layer on, but you can't advertise. They're going to shut down your merchant account. It's just such a whole other layer of issues. It really is.
Yeah, it's extremely tough, to the point where like for our podcast, we would interview cannabis entrepreneurs, and just the fact that we're talking to people that are in the cannabis industry, we weren't able to advertise, because all of our other videos we could pay for advertising. And we're like, we're hitting 10,000 views on Facebook. Woohoo! And it's like, then they're like, wait a second, you interviewed a gym owner last time. This time you're interviewing a cannabis entrepreneur. That's not okay. Now we're going to flag you, and you're going to get 500 views on it. Like, it's ridiculous. So, and then after a while, because then we would kind of like pepper in the cannabis people, like have like a florist on there, and then somebody else who had like a marketing group, and then somebody else, and then throw a hemp person in there, and then keep going. And then they flagged us again, and then shut down our ad account. And then we were like, okay, wow, this is lame.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. So you're looking forward to doing some music this week. That's awesome. And I don't know if I told you that I play guitar too. I've been playing forever. Now I don't do it professionally, but I've been playing, I don't know, 40 years or something. I don't know how long, but since I was a single digit, 7 years old or whatever, 7, 8 years old. And I've been playing forever, so love to jam with friends. And
what's your favorite song to play on the guitar?
Ooh, favorite song? I don't know. I definitely have a genre. Favorite song? I don't know. I like House of the Rising Sun. It's a good jam. It's a fun one to play. But a genre. I grew up, in the 70s and 80s. I like. So I was obviously influenced by. A lot of classic rock and things like that. I like to play. This was my thing when I was a kid. Again, in the 80s, you got all this like, the Eurythmics and stuff and all this pop synth stuff. And I went to an older classic like Beatles or classic rock stuff because, Pink Floyd or whatever. I wanted something that I could play on the guitar by myself. Like I'm at home, I pull out an acoustic, I can play and it sounds like a song, So none of the, disco or new wave or, any of that stuff, or even hip hop or whatever. Like I wanted something I could play. So I did a lot of like normal string quartet type, like Beatles or, like a couple of guitars, a bass, and a drum,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Creedence, Clearwater Revival, a lot of, and stuff like that. And then, some things like some John Cougar and, some at the time, Bryan Adams, at the time, some more contemporary back then when I was a kid. I had the Garage Band and all that kind of stuff,
How old are you?
I am 51 now.
Okay. So yeah, I was gonna say my dad is 50, and he was into all that too. He was a drummer. So, you guys would have been a good pair,
Yep, a lot of Beatles, classic rock, Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing, stuff like that.
Back here in this closet, I don't know if you could see that.
There you go. You got the. So do you play?
No. So during quarantine, so I bought that guitar in 2013, and I was like, I'm gonna learn, and then I started to learn, and then my situation just changed, and I just stopped. And then quarantine hit, and I was like, I'm gonna buy guitar strings, and I'm gonna tune it, and I'm gonna learn how to play. And I was good for like a month. I was taking guitar lessons on on an app. It was a really cool app actually. It would like take you through like how to play each string, recognize each string, musician. Um, and I was good for that for about a month, and then quarantine. I started doing live shows and having my employees do live shows. I started working on the business more and just kind of and spending time with my family because I never really get to do that, before quarantine shut down.
Right.
So I just kind of didn't do it, and it's just one of those things. It's just like yoga. Like if I don't do yoga, my back hurts, and I'm like, okay, stupid, just do yoga for a half hour a day. It's not that hard.
Right. Yeah, I know it's been really tough. I also play men's ice hockey, and in the winters I'm doing it, 3, sometimes even 4 nights a week, but at least 2, 3 nights a week for sure. I have a Wednesday league, a Friday league. I'm usually subbing on a Thursday and subbing on a Monday or a Sunday, and so you're going from 3 and 4 nights a week. And then you hit summer, it slows down. A lot of the rinks close for the summer, so only some of them are open. So my Fridays we stay year round, but the Wednesdays go away. This goes away, that goes away, and for the summers you're down to like only 1 or 2 nights. But with quarantine, we literally in February and March, it was still the swing of the end, but the swing of hockey season. I went from 4 nights a week to 0, and we didn't skate at all for like 4 months. It was awful, just losing all that exercise and momentum.
Are you guys playing now?
So yeah, the Wednesday league just never came to fruition. Through the summer we hobbled. We were shut down March, April, May, June. Then through July we were able to go back, but we're doing like 4-on-4 with no refs and no scorekeeper. But at least we get out and start skating again.
Right.
And so it wasn't a full normal league, but at least we get back on the ice.
It was like street hockey.
And then then in July, that was July. Then August, it expanded to full teams, 5-on-5, but still no scorekeepers, or so the games don't count. There's still just a bunch of scrimmages, and we're just kind of going sideways now. Now the winter league should be starting, and this week we should be back to normal now in September. But we're like waiting to see what's going to happen. So we don't have the approval yet to add the scorekeepers, and because it's how many people at a time. So we can have X number of people in an area, in a given. So there's not enough. I forget the exact details, but it's something like you can have like we got like 10 people. 5-on-5 is 10 people. So like we could have. I think you can put like 10 people on the ice, but that doesn't give us room for scorekeepers and refs and stuff. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen, but obviously we're chomping at the bit to get back to normal like everyone else. But at least we're skating and moving and having some fun.
Yeah, I'm over here just really worried about another shutdown possibly. I'm really just hoping it doesn't happen, basically.
Yeah. I see Amanda posted a comment. I used to play right wing, so yeah, I'm playing mostly defense. I play defense. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. It really is.
I've always been intrigued by it. I've wanted to play. I'm not the strongest skater though. I'm like, I can get the hang of it after skating for like a half hour, enough to do it. But I've never. Oh my god, I just don't understand it. After one time of like ice skating for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, every muscle in my body is so sore. It doesn't matter if I'm in like great shape or not. Every muscles
for sure. Yeah, definitely using different muscles. So that's fun, and we have a Green Goddess supply team on our Friday nights. We play up on 146, right on the Rhode Island, North Smithfield, but crossing into Massachusetts there, right at the line. There's a hockey rink on 146 there, and we skate down there on Fridays. Friday nights, I got a nice league, and hoping the Wednesdays come back soon too. So we've got our Green Goddess supply team, and that's a lot of fun. I got some pretty cool jerseys made up and everything with the logo and all that.
Did you put the cannabis leaf on there?
Yeah, it's this logo, and she's got the pot leaf in the hair.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so it's on there. Good times. So are you doing home grow at all? Yourself?
No,
You do home
not
grow?
right now. That's how I started. You know, like I was doing home grows and figuring out how to be able to have multiple turns within your house, but still be able to be within the legal limit, but still be able to get plenty of smoke for yourself.
Hmm.
And that kind of led to big outdoor grows, and then that led to legal outdoor grows. And yeah, that's everything. Every bit of growing this year has been at our farms, just growing hemp. You know,
Yeah. So where's tell me a little bit about. I'm sure your listeners probably know, but we'll ask anyway. But tell me a little bit about where are your farms?
so we have farms in Taunton, and we had one in Westport, but we had to shut it down unfortunately because Westport had a really bad drought this year. It was like one of the only towns. Like I live in Taunton, and our farm is one of our farms is there, and I would see rain just kind of skirt right past Westport to the point where I'd be driving down to the farm in a rainstorm, and it would just stop, and I would like within like 3 to 5 miles of Westport. I'm just like every day I'm just like, oh, here comes rain. The radar shows rain. It skipped
Time for
Westport.
you. Yeah.
So we got planted late. It was like July, mid July, and we it wasn't it wasn't good. You know, like we just didn't have enough water there to really make up for the drought. So the drought kind of killed it. But we got everything all set up for next year, the piping, the tanks, all that good stuff, so that we can have more success on that end with all that. So
Right. Right. And you're doing hemp flower.
yep, yep. Well, we're not able to sell hemp flower, so yeah, we have companies we can recommend, but we don't have any hemp flower because Massachusetts regulations, they don't, it's like one of the only states that doesn't allow you to sell any hemp flower to consumers. It's ridiculous. Like I could sell my hemp flower to another farmer or another processor, and that's it.
Mm.
Okay, so do we just sell it to each other indefinitely? Is that how, like, that's how it works? Like, it never goes out to market. We just all sell it, and oh, look, now you want to buy it? Like, that's not how this works. I don't know what the hell do you think it is, but that's just not how this works. Every other state has smokable flower, and you can go to plenty of places in Massachusetts that have smokable hemp flower.
Sure. Yeah, that's crazy. Um,
It's because they only regulate the people with licenses, right? So where we are in the malls, and I've said this a few times on here, so sorry for people that are listening that might have to hear this again, but sorry, it's important. We would be regulated. MDR would come in and look at us, make sure we're not selling anything that's out of code. Meanwhile, 150 yards down the hallway, there's a Canadian company operating and selling gummies and all these things that they're not supposed to be selling in Massachusetts. And I'm like, oh, okay, you guys are done with us. We're good. Are you checking on them? They're like, nope, no jurisdiction to. Like, oh, okay. So you guys don't check on the gas stations. You don't check on the CBD shops. You don't. There's no retail licenses. Alrighty, very well. It's like a wild west out here.
it is crazy. Yeah, you can't get there from here, right? It is crazy.
They need to change it honestly to the USDA laws because the USDA laws allow for the smokable hemp. It is a thin line, and that's the problem with the current numbers the way they are. Because if you don't know, literally the only difference between hemp and what they call marijuana is the amount of THC, and it's very trivial. It's 0.3%. So if it's more than 0.3%, it's THC. It's marijuana. If it's less than 0.3%, it's hemp. They're both cannabis. They're the exact plant, same plant. They both, have a male and female plant. They're dioecious, so the male gets seeds, the female gets buds, and if you pollinate the female, that'll get seeds too. Same exact thing as marijuana, and we've been fighting to get that number bumped from 0.3% to 1% because listen, this year we had to burn part of our crop that was 0.305000. So because it wasn't point three
Right.
zero zero zero, so a point
Right.
0.005 difference,
Yeah. Right.
mostly indetectable by most scientific equipment.
Yeah, 5/1000ths of a,
Yes.
yeah.
We had to get rid of that part of our crop. It was seriously like just
Yeah,
mind-boggling.
and I've heard a lot of stories about that too, because people, when you're growing it, you don't know, and then when you're all done, you spent how much time, energy, money, and then at the end, it's like, oh, oops, nope.
Yep. It's ridiculous.
So you can buy hemp flower Massachusetts store because because your farm's in Massachusetts, we can't sell hemp flowers. Am I getting this right?
You got it. So there's companies like I won't just in case, I don't know if they'll like actually get in trouble. I don't want them to try to make examples of people, but there are people that have approached us that have Massachusetts businesses and be like, "Oh, can we buy your flower? I saw pictures of it. It looked amazing." And I'm like, "No, sorry. Like I don't want to risk losing our license. Honestly, like we can't." Like, what do you mean? Like we're able to buy our hemp flower from a Vermont company and come sell it in Massachusetts and have nobody come after us, but you guys can't sell your very regulated hemp flower to us to make sure that our customers are safe. He's like,
Right,
"Oh, okay."
right. Can you sell to a processor in another state? Can you sell to a Rhode Island processor?
Yes. So you need special permissions, but yes, yes, you can. And I mean, the way around that is just to have a company in another state. Kind of that's your way around that part. And I mean, that's your way around possibly a lot of things. If you just merge with other companies in other states,
Yeah,
it could be very beneficial.
yeah. Understood. So tell me about your what you're doing at the mall store. So what are you selling at the mall?
All of our products are finished products, so we grow it, we process it, we manufacture it, and then we label it, seal it, and sell it at the malls. And
So like
yeah,
CBD oral tinctures or like
yep.
what?
We got CBD oil. We have CBD salves that are made for like tension pain. We have roll-ons that are like hypoallergenic. They're just jojoba and castor oil and CBD. Then we have eucalyptus pain roll-ons coming soon. We have bath bombs. We have chapsticks. We have pet CBD. We have hemp t-shirts. I'm actually wearing one right now. That's all I wear now is either hemp or bamboo t-shirts. Um, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. I'm probably am, but yeah, that's what I'm. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm thinking of like new products coming out, and they're not ready yet.
No worries, no worries.
We got a bunch. We have a hair care line coming out hopefully soon within the next couple months. We got it's 5 or 6 different items that are launching at the same time.
Interesting. I know a hair salon distributor. I know a couple, but I know one in particular, hair salon distributors. If you're looking for connections at some point.
Definitely am. I mean, there's not a lot of good hemp CBD infused shampoos that are on the market. And a lot of them, when you look at them, they don't even say how much CBD is actually in them. So there probably isn't. It's probably hemp seed oil or something like that.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of that happens. And if you're out there and you want to buy CBD, please don't buy it from a gas station. This isn't me bashing any other brands, but unless that gas station says what state or that was grown in, it's probably from China, and it's probably not even hemp. Some of the stuff doesn't even have CBD in it. It just has melatonin in it to make it seem like, oh, I'm relaxed. It must be the CBD. It's very deceptive. Um, and it's pretty awful. So make sure that you're buying from local companies, or at least
You
it
know the
says
brand, right?
exactly. A lot of companies, they don't keep track of, a lot of companies are just buying their distillate, and there's no really like certificate of origin of where that distillate came from or anything like that. So
Right.
it's a problem. It's a big problem in the market. And if you don't know where it came from, you don't know what pesticides and everything are in it. And especially if you haven't tested it properly, you definitely do not know those things.
Right. Absolutely. Do you for the seeds that you grow when you grow and you're planting? Are you breeding your own, or you're buying seeds?
We've been buying seeds so far. We've been working with Phylos Bioscience. They've given us a bunch of autoflower seeds to start working with. That was actually our failed crop, unfortunately. But we're working on something to start those in greenhouses throughout the winter because they're so short. You know, we won't have to go through the whole winter cycle. Um, and we bought seeds from a couple other.
Hemp flower autos, right?
Yep.
Yeah, nifty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually we're working on a hemp flower auto protocol for the box for the armoire. We're very interested in getting into hemp autos, but we don't see a lot of reliable sources for seeds. Seeds are a whole big thing that we want to be able to. Want to be able to direct the customers to the right place for it, and a place where they can get them with a relatively easily without a lot of hoops to jump through and problems and issues and whatever. We refer people off, and if they have a bad experience, then then I'm the ass, right? It's like
it's always that way.
So trying to find good sources to refer people for seeds and hemp flower, high CBD hemp flower. Autoflower seeds, feminized, are on our list.
Yeah, I can't wait to. I can't really recommend something until I've seen it be successful, but I have high hope for these seeds from Phylos, and I hope they work out because they are, a science company. They have the ability to test the full genetics of your plant, like where it came from, the full lineage. They have the ability to do early sex testing with the cotyledon that comes off of it. They have the ability to there's something else really cool that they do. I can't remember that they're about to roll out, but they're just such a cool science company. And I've never really been like into science like that my whole life. Like I was sucked at science in school, and I was like more of a math guy and history and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they've always fascinated me with what they do, and for them to come to us like, hey, we want to partner with you. We want to see how these work out, and to have a failed crop sucks, but as soon as we have a successful one and I can vouch for them, I definitely have a good source. They are a good source. They have plenty of seeds, but I can't say I've seen anything from it yet.
But no, you're saying failed in that just because it tested just like a sliver over the limit, right?
No, that was the one that was planted in the drought. So the drought basically.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
so the seeds didn't really fail. It was more like we planted, we tried to water, but it just didn't make a difference. Like you could dig like 5 inches down, and it was like hot still, like because it was just so dry. So it probably just burnt out the seeds. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those seeds just like some way somehow went dormant, and just like next year we're gonna have a crazy amount of hemp seeds just pop up in like the beginning of April on their own, and we're gonna be like shit. But we're gonna lay a tarp on it, at the end of this year when it cools down even more than this, so we're not sweating our asses off working outside. We're gonna kind of like take everything out, all the hoses, all the stakes, lay down a black tarp, so that way next year there's no weed pressure, right? It'll just burn out the weeds underneath and the seeds of the weeds underneath, which are way more important. It'll probably kill the rest of the hemp seeds. Anything that does survive, we're definitely gonna have to take that, clone that, and start breeding that into our autos because that's the strongest of the strong. But it's going to be interesting, because especially in New England, we have such a short season that with autoflower, potentially, if we can do it right, we could have 2 full turns outside plus a turn in the greenhouse, 3 turns every year.
Right.
And that's huge. And realistically, you could get 2 turns in the greenhouse, but I feel like it's better to heat it up when it's cooler, when it's 40 to 50 degrees outside, than it is to cool it down when it's 100 degrees. So it's better to just get like counted as the third one, start it in like right now when it's starting to cool down, and finish it in December, so your costs aren't that high to heat it. And I think that's like ideal. That's like the model I'm trying to roll out, and that would get on average about, what was the number? 9,000 pounds an acre, something like that, which is unheard of. And it would be much easier to harvest because we had plants last year. They were beautiful, like they had 5-6 pounds on them. Their stalks were like the size of my palm. It's like they're just gigantic plants. You reach up as tall as you can on your tippy toes, and they're still above your fingertips by 2 feet. It's ridiculous, but they required chainsaws to harvest. Like with the autoflowers, they're gonna get 2 feet tall, maybe 2-3 feet tall, if that, and they're gonna have stalks that are like this,
Right.
and you could just go through with a little scyther thing, stunk, 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 and have somebody behind you throwing them in a golf cart, just in the back, and you could harvest acres in a day because it's just so much easier. Yeah, so that's what we're testing out. It's a big risk for sure because you just never know with autoflower genetics. They're hard to get good ones, like you're saying, reliable. You have plenty of seeds, not only plenty of seeds, but they're gonna have a good germination rate and hopefully 100% feminized rate.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Obviously, genetics is super important.
Oh yeah.
There's and we've seen. There are folks who are on their game and know what they're doing. Have some really good stuff. They've been working for years, and they're good, stable genetics. And then there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of people that are just we see it. It's just there's seems to be a sort of a seed shortage. There's just more demand than there is supply, and people like the seed banks are constantly sold out. So forth and so on. And I've been noticing some things lately, and I wonder if some seed banks aren't kind of taking some liberties, like with the whole COVID thing and all that. Like one of them, I ordered some name brand seeds from a reseller, and got back seeds, and like, oh yeah, these are the one, but because of COVID, the delays in packaging and this and that. But trust me, those are that's what you ordered, and it's like they're not in the packaging, so you're taking their word for it. But I'm growing some stuff and I'm getting some weird results. When you grow a little indica that should be short and bushy, and then it's growing all the way up to the top like a sativa, and you're like, or the opposite. You get sativas and then they're growing. They're like itty bitty, more like the indicas, and just looking at some weird things, just some really weird things. I think people are crossbreeding stuff and selling F1s as if they're done and stable.
Of course.
But,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's 100% happening. That's the first seeds that we got. We're 100% F1.
yeah,
100%. They just crossed them together and sold us the seeds from that. Like those are
no,
super
you
unstable.
know that, and they telling you that, like, hey, listen, this is what I've got. This is where that's different. But when they're selling them as stable seeds you've been buying for the last year or more, that have been around for like 5-6 years, a stable breeder, and they've and you bought them in the past, but now all of a sudden you're buying them and they're not coming in the packaging or whatever. They're like, oh, it's just slow down code. We didn't want to delay the orders. It's like, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know. But then you take 5 seeds and you start growing them and you get all these weird different results, or, it's like, we're seeing a lot of weird things. I think we're getting a lot of F1s that are being, people are just not really backbreeding, crossbreeding. It can take a year or two to stabilize, you know what I mean, and get it right. And I think people are kind of rushing shit to market just because there's demand and they need seeds, and I don't know. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Oh yeah. Luckily our cloning's pretty good, so we got started early on seed, and we were able to get clone early and have everything in the field way earlier than last year. And where we're at in Taunton is basically, it's like taking care of itself. It's been raining just enough, like it's just enough. It's been interesting for sure, but we're trying to always expand the cultivation side, because I feel like that's what's going to really help farmers in the long run. That's like one of my main missions, is to just help farmers through hemp farming. They're farming corn and wheat and making $400-$500 if they're lucky profit per acre, when they could be making $3,000 per acre with hemp if they just lease out their land to someone like me.
Right.
And
or learn. We see a lot of people jumping in, farmers, like you said, they're doing corn or wheat or something else, and then they're jumping into to hemp and cannabis and don't know what they're doing, and they're treating it like hemp and cannabis and ruining their crops and don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, or they don't think, and they don't have a place to hang it. They're growing 20 acres, but they have nowhere to dry it.
Right.
And then they get to the end of the season, they're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do with 30,000 pounds of hemp, and that's dry? So like, what am I gonna do with 100,000 pounds of hemp wet?
Yeah. I saw a story. Some farmers went and they bailed it all, like they roll it and put shrink wrap it, and it's left in the fields and whatever, and then they're treating it
Hey.
yeah, and it's like, what are you doing? And then they're shocked and amazed that when they go back, all the buds rotted and whatever, and
Of course.
it's like
It's like you might have screwed up. You might have screwed up.
yeah, absolutely. So you're tell me a little bit about your audience here for this show. What's the background demographic? What do you who's listening to your show these days? We've got Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda's definitely been on here every show. Appreciate you, Amanda, and appreciate the work you do for, the kiosks and everything. She's cannabis nurse Amanda. She's amazing. So, it's been one of those things during quarantine. I was live streaming like 3-4 times a day. This show used to just kind of be like me venting in my car, and then I'd release it as a podcast, and basically I didn't really like advertise it really at all. I think I advertised like one episode. But when quarantine came, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna bring that back. So it started getting a decent amount of listeners. I'd get like 1,000 views on the videos every week on the Facebook videos, and then I stopped doing it because the mall's open and I got busy. Like everything, like I said, the theme of my life, I'm just fucking busy. And it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm looking at online sales from when I was live streaming all the time and online sales to now, and they're way down. There's got to be some correlation. I got to get back to live streaming, and I honestly miss it. It's like my one chance to kind of be like a human being and have a conversation with another human being that isn't, I'm not trying to sell them my product. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just like genuinely trying to have a conversation with them. And
Right.
It's good for my mental, like that's what I've realized over doing it over a couple of weeks now is just, it's nice to be able to, one, it forces me to have conversations with people like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, come on my show, and then you're like, oh, by the way, good timing, come join my networking meeting. It's like the
Right.
perfect synergy,
Right. Absolutely.
So that kind of stuff happens a lot, and by hearing more of what each other is working on, we're both able to help each other more because we're able to kind of think about it. Like something will pop up and I'm like, oh, that's a good thing for Eric, or vice versa. Those things always happen in life. So the demographic is a lot of cannabis people for sure. For sure.
Grow side, consumer side. I mean, of course, it's probably a mix, right? And anyone
Yeah.
consumer probably, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm just saying, but more and consumer listeners or growers, or what do you think it falls?
Probably more end consumer, and then a lot of cannabis entrepreneurs, and yeah, I feel like we're like magnets, a lot of cannabis entrepreneurs just find each other, and then we're like, oh wow, I like you.
Well, it's a great industry. People are, generally speaking, it's a funny industry. It's different, but I find that people are more, I don't know, more connected to kind of, I don't want to say more cool. I hate to say it like that, but than in like, getting into like, I don't know, traditional, just tech businesses or whatever, other things. It's kind of, there's a little bit more of that sort of brotherhood, if you will, like, like this is really tough and it's an uphill battle, against the man,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, it's just different. And people are I found in this industry, there's a lot more of that, extending the helping hand to each other and that sort of thing, than you find in some other industries. And I think a lot of it is because it is budding, no pun intended. It is a budding industry. Kind of reminds me, and I was saying that a level of excitement and enthusiasm that to me is reminiscent of when I got into the software industry back in the late 80s, early 90s. Like the PC revolution was just exploding, just taking off, and it was all new. You couldn't get anything. There was no like, PC Magazine, PC World kind of stuff way back then. It was like, it was all new, and you had to go underground to get any information. And then you had like this concept of like, back then it was user groups. People would actually get together to share information and all that stuff. There's no such, there's no PC user groups today. I mean, I don't know, maybe there are, but I mean, you don't hear about it. It's not mainstream. It was not like it was back in the 80s. that was a big thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I find the cannabis industry is just like that. It's an emerging as a business now, a legit business. And there's a lot of that same kind of camaraderie and you know, these sort of groups you know, things like the Boston Freedom Rally and all your different events and things like that that
I
are really
miss
cool.
I
I
miss the
miss the
event
event
so
so
much.
much.
That's
That's,
I
I
always
always
say
say
that
that
they're
they're
very
very
they drive momentum for your business. You know, it's hard to see everything that you're actually doing when you're so focused. You're just like, what's next? What's next? What's next? I'm a robot, you know. And then people are like, oh my god, I saw that you did this. That's really cool. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that. Huh. Thank you. Like that's awesome. I forgot. You know, like
Yeah,
and then you kind of just get a chance to talk to people that are so like-minded, and it's that part is so inspiring because it's just a bunch of it's like I had Rick Naya on Tuesday, and I was saying it's like you can feel it. It's a buzzing energy in the atmosphere, and it just
that yes, that's what it is. I think it's the recharging your batteries every like
yes.
3 or 4 months. You know, you have like, you know, you got your sort of like Nikan stuff in, you know, whatever, like the March or April or whatever, you know, like your Nikan Boston. You've got the freedom rallies in September. There's probably another show in the middle of summer in there somewhere, you know.
Turptown Throwdown is in July.
Yeah, and then you've got like the Harvest Cup in like November. Now
Yep.
moved it up a little bit. It would start off in December and moved a little early. So you know, so like every 3 or 4 months or so, you have some kind of big industry event. Everybody comes together. You know, you get to see people, and it's
Yep.
I think it's that sort of recharging the batteries.
And there's like little events in between that you're able to kind of like see and meet people at like the Summit Lounge and
Yep.
the Creative Zone and stuff like that. Like you're able to really meet a lot of people through networking. People are so welcoming here. Like I came into the industry by just giving work for free. Like I was just like I have a little bit of following left over from my music. People are following what I'm trying to do as an entrepreneur. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but I know I want to be an entrepreneur. And you know, let's use that to promote other businesses that seem like they're doing the right things. And I went around and just interviewed people and shared it all over my social media platforms in hopes that it, you know, helped them reach more people. And people very quickly noticed that, and they're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. And like, how much are they paying you? I was like, free. Do you want to do it too? You know, like and people like you, there were people that became friends with me and were like, you can't give away free work. What are you doing? Like that you can't give away free work. That's the worst thing ever. I was like, I disagree. I was like, I'm giving out free work, and because I mean, I could use the money, but I would rather really build trust within the industry, and I would rather really help people first before I start going around asking, you know, like, oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you help me? I'm like that kind of person. Like I want to give, and then I'm like, okay, can I ask for a small favor? Like, you know, like eventually, like I just need to know about this, you know, like I'm that type of person. So I just kept doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that and doing that, and it just kept leading to more and more things till I actually did Mascan's education village for 3 days at Nikan last year,
Yep.
and that was like that got them. They were like, you don't need to come to more than this one meeting. You can have you can be on the board if you want to. I'm like, I don't have time for that. I wish. That's such an honor. You know, I wish I could have done that. That was like last year. And I was just like, I can't, but that's how grateful they were that I shot for 3 straight days and then edited it all within the first week after Nikan and gave it all to them. They were just like, whoa. They're like, so those type of things I always recommend doing them as an entrepreneur. Help as many people as you possibly can, no matter how big or small you are. Like that's when I can't wait to have this company bigger and be a multi-million-dollar company so I can help other people who I see doing the right things and might just need a little bit of help. You know, it's now I can invest back into the community that got me started and everything. And that's going to be my favorite part. I can't wait for that. I cannot wait for that, man. Like I want to get into recreational and eventually medical marijuana as well. But I'm really being strict with anybody that I've talked about like interest of investing about like we need a social equity program. Like I coming from the hip hop like arena, being there my whole life, like all my friends were, black mostly. It's just how it was. There were a lot of white rappers that started happening when I turned like 20 years old, but before that, I was like the token person in everywhere, like, and I was cool with that because that felt normal to me. It just I didn't even think about it, and I've seen a lot of my friends go to jail for stupid amounts of weed, like a gram, like before when it was illegal and everything. And the same people that are in these jails, the same people that own those jails and prisons are opening dispensaries right in front of their faces. It's ridiculous. So we have to get back to those communities that have been screwed over by the war on drugs, and that's like not something I'll ever budge on ever. So like if I ever open a marijuana dispensary, know that there's something built into there to give a percentage back to communities that were disproportionately affected by this BS.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of funny. This is just a very random thing, but we have a fellow in our group that it's not a social equity thing, but it just kind of reminded me. We have Scott Graves comes into our group. He's put together a very interesting an business incubator in Gardner, Mass. And they're helping people get going. Basically, up there, like a lot throughout New England, old mill villages and stuff. That when the industrial, revolution was kicking in, they were like the epicenter of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, in the 70s and the 80s, when everything moved either down south to like North Carolina, South Carolina for textiles and things like that, or just offshore, jobs move off to Japan at first and now China, so everyone talks about. But as globalization and all that, and factories closed and so forth, we had, the economy in a lot of New England towns imploded, all those old mill buildings that are vacant and stuff. Most of them through the 80s burned down. They were empty or whatever. And so in Gardner, Mass, there was a lot of woodworking, furniture, and craftsmanship. That was their whole big thing. And again, all those factories closed and et cetera, et cetera. So they're trying to do an economic development thing and get that all going. And one of the things they're doing is talking to Massachusetts cannabis companies like dispensaries and so forth that have to give a percentage to community development, and they don't know what to do. They said there's a lot of the applicants that they're not sure what can I do in my community that okay, where can I? And there are a lot of good causes, everything from soup kitchens to there's all kinds of programs and there's all kinds of nonprofits and a lot of people hurting and needing help and and it's not to say anything is better or worse or making any judgment calls. But I just thought it was really cool as yet another option, another angle that it's not just it's like the old adage of give a man a fish, you fed him for a day, but you teach him to fish, you fed him for life, right? That whole thing. Where this is the money that goes in is money that goes into an incubator to help build tomorrow's entrepreneurs, and help build and grow new businesses. And so it's like giving money into this incubator that turns around and uses it as fuel to create, to feed. It's like the gift that keeps on giving sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's not just the end, like, all right, we gave 3% of our proceeds to a soup kitchen. I'm not saying the soup kitchen is not, needy and a good choice, but it ends there, as opposed to this feeds into something that then turns around and helps other build and grow more new businesses and trying to build the economy in the area.
I love that. I love that.
Kind of cool economic development concept, So that was kind of neat. So he comes to our Tuesday networking group for the cannabis industry as well. He wasn't there this week, so you didn't get to meet him. He's there maybe about two Tuesdays a month. He's in and out. But a really great fellow. And if you ever needed a reference, obviously I can hook you up. But nifty stuff. Very nifty stuff. I'm really intrigued. I made a note I wrote down here. I want to talk to you. We'll come back and circle back later, but I want to talk about the autoflower hemp because that's something I'm personally interested in too. I want to grow some hemp autos.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to give them to you in another state, but like we'll have to go to Rhode Island, but that's so silly, right? So we got in trouble one time. Not really in trouble. They just kind of like, don't do this again. We sold seeds at an event to people, and they were like, "You can't do that in Massachusetts." I was like, "Wait, what? Hold on, wait. What do you mean in Massachusetts? So you're saying like we were in Springfield? What if we would have just crossed the border a half hour to Connecticut? Like, well, we'd have no jurisdiction." I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay." All right. Like, so I could go to Rhode Island and give people as many seeds as I want, and it's fine. They're like, "Yep."
As far as they're concerned, right. I don't know about Rhode Island, but yeah, I know. There's a lot of that stuff that's really weird.
It's so
A lot of that
weird.
stuff's really weird.
Yeah.
But have you seen the? Have you had a chance to? Have you seen the Armoire home grow system that we've got? Have you taken
I
anything yet?
The picture that you showed in your brochure looks like some grow cabinets that people are using. Is that what it is? A grow cabinet?
It's a grow cabinet. Yeah. Ours, it looks like furniture, and it's for and it's tuned for autos. I mean, we have people growing photos in it. You can, if you know what you're doing, you can take it and run with it. You can do whatever you want, right? But what we've done is we've created a system. We actually stepped back and we created our own process, right? So what we found was what people were doing is, which makes sense, is taking, all right, well, how do you grow cannabis? All right, and then saying, well, now how do we replicate that indoors? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What we did was said, no, how can we come up with a better, faster, easier way to grow cannabis? And then we built a system to support that. So we have our own protocol that we've come up with that simplifies, dumbs it down, and just makes it super simple. We basically say like watering a houseplant once a day. And we kind of simplify it that much. And so it's based around tuned for autos. So that you're getting, it's for personal use. You get a plant in like average about 60 days, we have some as low as 55, others might be it depends on the cultivar or whatever.
What? That's crazy. The
Yeah.
autoflowers we're working with are 75 days.
Yeah, there's a lot of 60, a lot of very common for 60-day autos, but they vary, and and there are super autos at 90 days. There are a lot of 75-day autos, and there's a lot of 60-day autos. So it just depends when you buy them. You just look, and see what that particular cultivar or what it is. But we do a lot of 60-day strains. So like we have a Facebook group for the Armoire owners, and like one of our guys, he's up here in Massachusetts, actually just posted, he got 6 ounces. He said 4 really top premium ounces. And then 2 more that were kind of more like the popcorn nugs. And did that in 54 or 55 days. It's pretty wild.
Off how many autos?
That's 1.
Wow.
Yeah. We get in between anywhere from 3 to just shy of 8. But we average. We tell people 4. We average 4, but I get 5, 6, 7 ounces out of a plant in 8 weeks, 2 months. It's pretty cool.
Not bad at all, especially for like cabinet growing with autoflower.
Yeah, personal use, just kind of, most of our demographic. We do have some people that are pros and know what they're doing. They've done tents, or they work in cultivations and things like that, or whatever. So we have some of that, but I'd say mostly, like 90%, most of our folks have never grown before and just want something relatively simple and want to be able to grow it for personal use. They're not trying to be caregivers. They don't want to do 12 plants. And when you can turn a plant every other month, you can do like 5 or 6 in a year. It's just you don't need really big plants because you're not going 5 months until your next harvest or whatever.
I'm blown away at the 60-day autos. Like, that really is crazy. You really can get 5 turns a year.
Yep.
For
That's
personal use, that's
I don't
awesome.
kill myself. I could probably get 6 if I were really like insane about it and all over it. I'm not. I'll have times where like one's coming to an end, and then I know, like, I time it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going on vacations. I'll just wait. I'll wait a week until I come back. Then I'll start my next one. So I get like a week gap here, a week gap here, whatever. So I just get 5 in. I do 5 turns a year on mine. I started growing in our prototypes about 2.5 years ago, and I've been pretty much averaging 5 turns a year. It's been a lot of fun. It's the old saying. We use it all the time. Obviously, we didn't come up with it. I think it was Ed Rollins, but I'm not sure. But who said the only thing addictive about cannabis is growing it.
Ain't that the truth?
And,
I was addicted to the indoor model because it's like I was like, okay, I have 12 plants. How do I do this? So I had two different cycles of 3 and 3, and I would basically every 9 weeks, yeah, every 9 weeks I was harvesting because not with autos at all. Like these are photos, and I would have three vegging at all times. I would usually have like some babies in the clone machine. I'd let them get nice and big. I know they're gonna survive. I'd start letting them veg. I'd give away because marijuana is easier to give away than hemp plants. Go figure, right? Like you can overgrow on the marijuana side in your veg room and be like, I'm gonna choose these three for this cycle and these three for cycle, and then these four I'm gonna give away to people to plant in their garden, and that's fully legal to do, but not with hemp. But I digress. So, and then I would basically get every 9 weeks a decent amount, probably more than you're allowed to have as a patient, but that's why I say a decent amount. And I would smoke it quick, smoke it super quick, because back then, when you grow that much, you could smoke an ounce a week.
yeah, and that's the nice thing about growing it now. I've said too, it's like I've turned into sort of like the Oprah of weed, right? Now it's like, oh, look, a nug for you, a nug for you, a nug for you, here, and like, whereas before, before I was growing it, you'd be sitting there going, oh, there's a little dust left. Let's save that. Let's get that little bit out of the baggie.
Yeah, when I was doing that, I'd go to events with like a whole ounce, and by the end of a day, I'm out of the ounce because I just smoked with everybody. I just was like, oh, like I'd rolled up fucking, I don't even know how many joints, like 20 joints, and they all got smoked within a day. Like being outside with people after party, like just giving them to people, like, oh, here's this one, and then they give you one, or somebody needs one, like, oh, you don't have a joint, dude, here you go, like.
Yep.
That's the good thing about this industry. There's not too many industries like that where everybody's just like, dude, you don't have anything with you? Come here. Like there when I stopped growing and like got out of the black market and just went full legal with everything, I was like struggling because I didn't have money to buy weed, and I would go to places and I would just kind of like hang off, and people would offer, and I'm like, thank you. It sucks. I hate that I don't have weed to bring, but nobody cares, like, because eventually you will and do, as long as you're not a jerk.
Yep. No, I met a bunch of awesome people, really awesome people in the industry at the shows. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed it's September. There's not going to be a freedom rally, right? I mean, like everything is still on hold, going sideways. I have heard that I believe, unless something has changed very recently, I believe the Summit Lounge is starting to, if they're not already open, I think they were easing back into opening now.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of from what I don't know all the exact details, but from what I remember, what I recall from the emails and talking to Kyle a few weeks back, sounded like there some modified COVID kind of esque rules, like smaller crowds, not doing the big events, and so it's a scaled down, but at least they can start moving again, start getting people, start opening again. And so that's nice to see, because the Summit Lounge is a cool place, and I know you mentioned that early. And if no one's been there, or if you're not familiar with it, up in Worcester, downtown Worcester, the Summit Lounge is a very cool place where you can consume on site. It's a membership sort of thing, and you can go and you can consume on site. And it when I had gone and they asked if I wanted to do a regular membership or just pay at the door to go, and I said no. I don't know. I'm not in Worcester, and I'm not sure when I'll be back or whatever, so I'll just pay. And then the following week, when I was at another event, they asked me again, and I'm like, no, well, I'll just pay because I don't know when I'm coming back, right? And then the next week, I'm there for another event, and it's like, all right, well, maybe I should. And then they shut down, but I was like, all right, I'm here like 3 and 4 times a month now, and because people keep having events up there, we have meetings there. It's a great centralized place to meet, in the area. So if anyone who hasn't been there, I'd say check it out. And it's really cool people hang out there.
It's a great place to talk about cannabis business ideas. Like no better place in the world. Like now you get to fully be relaxed, like you're getting to smoke, pass it around, really get to talk to people while everybody's open, like everybody's like, relaxed, smoking, chilling, and the best ideas come from those. I swear to God, like that's what I love the Summit Lounge for. Just sitting in a corner talking to somebody for 25 minutes, just smoking with them.
And you're talking about like this one versus this one. Well, I don't know. Give it a try. What do you well, oh yeah.
That's part of it. And then usually, like, it seems like every time I go there, I get sucked into 25-minute conversations about, like, what are you doing in business? And then I'm asking, what are you doing in business? Like, we're picking each other's brains and talking about ideas. And I'm pretty open about my ideas, most of them. Obviously, I know which IPO to keep tight. But I talk openly about it because the way I see it, if somebody does it before me, at least it got done and it was needed. Like the ideas that I know will help people, I definitely put out there because I'm not selfish. This is not ego driven. If somebody does it before me and helps people before me, great. Just keep helping people.
Right. Yep. I like the grow and tell sessions on Thursdays with
Mark,
Herb, Jason.
Oh, Hota.
Yeah.
I haven't met him yet. I've seen him there a few times, but every time he's just so busy, and I don't want to be like, "Hey, man," like just butt in. So
wicked nice guy. Yeah, really nice guy. He was actually part of our networking group for right up until maybe about a month ago. With everything slowing down and COVID and all this stuff, he's, it's kind of hard to hold events. It's hard to do. So he's kind of scaled back on a lot of stuff and just kind of focused on just the day job for right now. But we'll see what happens. I think there's a bunch of people that would love to see him spark up his grow and tell again on Thursdays once, sort of things get back to normal, if you will. And it's just hard to do these like in person. It's very interactive kind of chit chat about like, and here's what I'm doing with this. Today we're going to talk about soil. Today we're going to talk about lights. Today we're going to talk about whatever. And each month it's on a Thursday. It was like the third Thursday or something like that of each month. And towards the end, right before, like in February, just before the March shutdown on the world, his last few events, I mean, the summit, if you've been there, it was packed. It was packed to capacity. I mean, you went in there and it was just full, jammed. It was nice. And, you seeing everybody, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? It was pretty cool. It's kind of like Cheers, like Norm. Hey, I don't know if that's
no, I get it. Because that is exactly what it's like. You walk in and you spend an hour just saying hi to people before you get to sit down.
Yeah.
That's definitely how Summit is. I think maybe the way they should do that is by doing like hybrid classes. Like have because some people I've actually lost. We were talking about job applicants and everything, and people that are applying for jobs and not showing up for the interview. A couple people messaged me like, "Oh, this is in a mall. Nah, I'm good. I don't want to be in the malls yet. I don't feel safe." And I'm like, "All right, I get it. I guess." Like I guess I get it. I don't know. I feel fine. But yeah, that's basically where it's at. So I think everybody's gonna kind of be forced to go hybrid until this thing is over. Because people like me, I can't wait to get back to the Summit Lounge and smoke with everybody. Or whoever wants to smoke with me. Like I know I'm negative, so I don't care. Like I know I'm not passing it to anybody, and I'm really not too worried about getting it. I'm a healthy individual, and I have a really great chance of being okay with it. Most of the people I know that had sniffles. A couple people. I mean, I do know a couple of people that know people that passed away. I know it's a serious disease, but me myself, I'm not too worried. Just a disclaimer.
Yeah. Understood.
But yeah, it's I always do this where I'm talking with people that come on my shows, and then I look up and look at the time. This is why people like Joe Rogan have a giant time ticking. Because you just
up in the wall, yeah.
You get literally lost and sucked into the vortex of podcasting, and it's been an hour and a half already of great conversation, and that is amazing. But I definitely want to get some sort of. I would love to like podcast some sort of business networking meeting eventually with you, something like that. Because that would be really cool for people to see like what cannabis entrepreneurs are talking about. Obviously, some people probably won't be comfortable with it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know the group that well. You know them better than me. but there's always people that tend to be uncomfortable with being on camera, talking about things openly sometimes. But I'd love to do that just to like kind of give people a peek into the mind of cannabis entrepreneurs. And yeah, I, I think that's a good place to wrap up. And
Sure.
but I really want to give you a chance to promote any links that you have where people can find, to follow you or in your businesses.
Sure, I appreciate that. So our company is Green Goddess Supply, manufacturer of nice, high quality line of smoking accessories. Things like our flagship, sort of grinder. We've got the grinders, the rolling trays, a lot of nice wood bamboo products, and glass and dabbers and bangers and you name it. And obviously the sort of crown jewel in the entire product line is the Armoire home grow system, our new home grow system that we spent 5-6 years developing, prototyping, bringing to market, and now we've shipped hundreds of units, got tons of people growing in it with great success, and building a community online on Facebook. So that whole home grow system is a big piece of what we're doing. So you can find us all at greengoddesssupply.com online, and we are a local Massachusetts company here. And then, we're talking about the business networking. We are the Metro West Canna Networking Group. It's for owners, or if you're the biz or marketing person in a company in the cannabis industry or outside the cannabis industry, but services it. So, for example, payroll, like the big companies like ADP, and Paychex won't do payroll for the cannabis industry, but we have someone who does and who will. So he's a payroll guy, but he can do it for the industry. So we have merchant processors for credit cards. We've got CPAs that know all about, Section 280 and all that kind of fun stuff. And then, about 45 people. And then we have cultivators and growers and dispensary owners, smoke shop owners, produce CBD folks, extract, testing labs, you name it. So all these people come together and help. And we have shipping and logistics. We have construction people for build outs. You've had architects come in because when all the people opening dispensaries, need help with design and architecture and all of that. So I'd say check that out. And anybody who's in the industry or would like to come check it out, let me know. Reach out. You can certainly reach out to me and ask questions, or pop by our group on Facebook or on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I was very impressed with how diverse your group was with the amount of different businesses that were just inside of there, and the amount of referrals I got in one Zoom session. Just people being like, "Hey, I want to help. How can I help? How can I help?" Just reaching out. Super great group, helpful group.
It is. They're really nice people. I mean, we got a really nice group. I mean, they're smart, they're good, they're friendly. It's a really great group. And what's nice is when we meet in person, right up off 495, exit 18, 495, the Bellingham exit, and it's just like a mile off the road. And when we meet at the restaurant, it's nice because we do a lot of show and tell. Like I'll actually bring products like grinders or sifter boxes, and some of these things people are like, oh, what's that? What's a sifter box, or like we have spring loaded one hitters, like, oh, what's that? What do you do with that? Dugouts and different things. And then of course growers, the people bring their we make the joke of it's kind of like dogs sniffing butts, right? Everyone's walking around sniffing everyone's jars. Ooh, what'd you grow? I guess.
That was my favorite part of like growers meetings, is that everybody has a joint rolled and everybody's passing a joint. So you got like 25 people in a circle with at least one, if not 2, 3 joints getting passed around the circle. Because some people are like, well, this is my lemon haze. Pass it, and they're like, well, this one is my OG Kush. You go, like, just like that just happens throughout, because everybody's just like cooked halfway through. Like, whoa, how many strains? Like, and it's funny though, because you'll be smoking 25 different ones, and all of a sudden you'll get one that you're just like, ooh, whose was this?
Yeah. Well, that's why the crowd does like summertime, which is, it really sucked that this whole COVID thing now is kind of like waylaid us for the summer. But all through the spring and summertime, they have an outdoor patio. We meet at the Greenhouse Pub. It's a little nice little pub. And they have a whole outdoor patio, and we pack the patio. We get like 30 people, and we're all outside. And so because we're outside, people are passing, they sparking up and passing the joints. And so people are like, it's not raining. We meeting outside today? Everyone's all excited about that.
I can't wait till things get back to more normal, and hopefully they do. And I should come to an in-person meeting because that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a good time. It's a good time for sure, and
But-
and useful. Not just fun, but it's super useful for your business.
Yeah, seriously, definitely. Or get if you can't find Eric at all, make sure that you come find me, and I will get you in touch with him to be able to join us, because I'm definitely gonna be there this upcoming Tuesday, right?
Yep, absolutely. Every Tuesday. Yeah.
So I'm gonna be there. I'm definitely gonna be there for that. It was a lot of fun. So, as always, if you're listening, make sure you subscribe to wherever you're listening or watching. Thank you for supporting the show and the continued growth for it. And as always, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Good vibes to you. Peace.